Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Welcome to midterm week. Okay, I've got my notes here. So the first thing I want to remind you of is that there's no discussion board this week and there's no exam. The only assignment for this week is the midterm exam, and of course it is due Sunday. Okay, so by now hopefully you've read the instructions, but if you haven't, I want to go over them with you just briefly. So you're asked to select one question. You'll see three questions there. Select one to answer, and only one. In your answer, I'm looking for essay form. What that means, essay form is a lot like the discussion board. Excuse me. In other words, it's not an academic paper you're writing here. You don't need citations. You certainly don't need a reference page, but you shouldn't necessarily need citations unless, of course, you're going to cite something from your textbook or something from some other source as a statement of fact. Okay. The format should be 2 pages in length. And again, don't worry too much about the program that you write it in. I have Canvas set up so that I should be able to receive just about any format. What I do ask, however, is please do not email your exam to me. It must be submitted through Canvas. That's how I grade your exam. And the rest of it, the 12-point font, the 1-inch margins. Again, don't worry too much about that. Okay, so let me get right to the exam questions themselves. There are 3 of them. So say, for example, and you might recognize, if you've read the exam questions already, you might recognize these questions. We've had them before in our discussion boards. So I always encourage you to keep your discussion board, particularly your initial post, but also your replies, because again, you will be able to use them on your final exam, on your midterm exam, and even in the paper. What I do look for in the exam is that you've answered the question, you've answered it completely, and you answered it using the learning materials that have been provided. Perhaps use some of the terms or concepts that we've already gone over this term. So again, the 3 questions are the successes and limitations of the civil rights movement, and we just had that discussion question. So for some of you, your discussion board initial reply is almost 2 pages. So again, rely on your old discussion boards if you want to answer some of these. If you select question 2, the methods of oppression and alienation, of the marginalization as well, the F Street Coalition, of the F Street community, West Las Vegas. If you look at how systematically over the years the community was oppressed, was through racist and discriminatory means by a host of agencies, including the local government, state government, and just the folks who live in and around that community. Okay, the 3rd question has to do with segmented assimilation. I believe we had a similar question in the discussion board a few weeks prior to this. So again, all 3 of these, whichever one you choose, should be familiar to you. All I ask is that you do not submit it on Sunday evening at 11:58 p.m. And like I always say, whenever you have a writing assignment, in the midterm, the exam is no different. Start on it as soon as possible. Make yourself out a little outline, and then fill in those blanks, and then add to those. So, and that'll get you your 2 pages, I'm sure. Again, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, any problems this week on the midterm exam, please get a hold of me through email, and I'll be glad to help you out. Hope you have a great week. Here it's raining like heck here in rural Oregon. So anyway, hope the weather is nice where you're at. Take care. Bye.